Welcome back to Red Glasses Talks. The title today is Basics. One of the greatest football coaches of all time. You might not even have heard of him. But in a little town called Valdosta, Georgia, a great coach used to coach, and his name was Nick Hyder. Listen to some of his resume and the story I'm beginning to tell you. So his teams won more games than any other team in the nation. They had been named national champions 4 times, and they have won more than 20 state championships. So practice seasons had started, and this was kind of before the regular practices started, and coaches from around that part of the country would come in and watch Coach Hyder run a practice. So this young guy came in because he was hoping to pick up a few tips so he could take that to his team and hopefully be more successful. So he goes to the practice, he's watching the practice, and this is what he said. He said he found the practices were well organized, but boring. He said they involved little more than hours of drills in blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, kicking, the basics of football. So at the conclusion of the week, the young coach went to Coach Hyder to thank him for the opportunity and the privilege of watching the practices. He said, "One thing I don't understand, Coach." He said, "You spent all your time practicing doing things that your players should have mastered years ago, just the basics." He said, Are you in a rebuilding year?" Coach Hyder looked at him and said, "No, we're not in a rebuilding year. This is a veteran team. In fact, our offensive line will average more than 260 pounds. That's a high school team." "Wow," the coach said. By just practicing the basics?" Coach Hyder answered. "You want to know the secret of my coaching success? That's why you're here, isn't it? The winning football teams always do the basics the best. Blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, kicking. The more talented the athletes, the easier it is for them to get away from the basics. But it's skill in the basics that wins games." Dear friends, it's skill in the basics that changes your life and mine. Sometimes we think, no, I want to advance. I want to read something other than my Bible. I want to get some great information that's going to answer some of the great questions I've always had lingering in my mind. Listen, you open this book up, you read a verse, you begin to pray to try to understand what it means. Then you go out and you try to do it. That's basic. And you do the basics over and over and over and over and over, and you never stop. I've been known kind of over the years as the man who teaches the basics. And let me tell you why. I believe the individual follower of Jesus that knows and practices the basics well is light years ahead of everyone else who is trying to follow Christ. So, if you want to impact your society, your city, your home, your company, you've got to get in good shape by practicing the basics. Sometimes we don't even know what the basics are, much less practice them. The scripture tells us in Matthew 5, verses 13 through 16, Jesus said, as a follower of Jesus, you're the salt of the earth. And it can be translated, you're the only salt of the earth. And the impact that salt can make in a society and the lives of people. You're the light of the world. You're the only light of the world. So the question is this: are you willing to get in shape and start practicing the basics? Hang on. Hang on. We're going to get you in shape.